Okay, so I made a video on extra normal, and I didn't really quite like it, and I know a lot of YouTube viewers out there don't like to see extra normal videos because they're the people that make them, less than technically competent to say the least. So I figured I'd do my rebuttal over again, only this time I'd do it on a little cheapo Vivitar DVR410. This little picture maker and video capture device that bought 25 bucks. I didn't feel like spending a lot of money on it, because I'm a cheap son. Well, there you are, I'm cheap. But then again, for what I'm doing, I don't really need any really high speed. So anyway, the video I did on YouTube was called Extraterrestrial Life Found in a Meteorite, and it's about a paper that was submitted by Richard B. Hoover, who's a NASA engineer, on various meteorites that he studied. Now he's works, I guess, as a team leader in the astrobiology department in NASA, and he wrote that he found fossilized microbes in the meteors that he had been studying, and then he just determined that these fossilized meteors were some sort of proof of extraterrestrial life. In a manner of speaking, it's technically correct, but that is, that there may or may not be life out there in outer space. But here's the thing: if there's even one microbe on the Voyager space probe, well, that kind of qualifies as extraterrestrial life in that it is not on the Earth. Now, if we're saying where it came from, then I've got an issue with Mr. Hoover, because we don't really know where any of these meteors, where the source is for these meteors. So, the first problem I have is that the material is fossilized. That is, these bacterium that were studied under the electron microscope were fossilized remains of life that had once been alive, and that these bacterium are cyanobacteria, or various others, like, for instance, the titanospiral and velox, which is kind of interesting, considering that those particular bacterium were found on Earth, or were found on Earth. Now, the only place we know that fossilization occurs is in places where there's liquid water. Liquid water being the solvent that dissolves the minerals that is infiltrated into the structure where once a living organism had been, and it fills up that space and crystallizes and forms a fossil, basically rock replacing tissue. And that's kind of cool, considering, hey, look, fossilized alien microbes. But are they really alien? First off, they're fossilized. Now, we know in space there's no liquid water. I can't find any evidence. No one has ever suggested there's any evidence of any liquid water anywhere but on Earth and possibly Europa. So, our illustrious Richard B. Hoover then stating that this asteroid came from a place that we know of, or that it came from Europa? Obviously not. Don't want to be that kind. Make that kind of a ridiculous claim that they know exactly where this meteorite came from. For example, the Murchison meteorite, we don't know where it actually originated from. We just know that it landed on the Earth and that it stinks to high heaven. It also contains various chemical compounds which are commonly associated with life, that is, amino acids. It's just kind of cool if you think about it. But then it was when he was saying that these meteorites that he studied had fossils. The only place we know where fossils can be found is on Earth. We haven't found fossils anywhere else, not even on Mars yet, which would be kind of interesting to see if we actually find fossilized bacterium on Mars, not on a meteor suspected to have come from Mars, but on Mars itself. If we find, say, a titanospiral and velox colony fossilized in the rock strata of one of our nearest neighbors, it kind of proves that single-cell bacterial life form is possible on other planets. Which is, but the fact that it's fossilized still gives me cause to concern. And the reason is, is that those fossilized remains had to be fossilized before they were ejected into space. Fossilization cannot occur in anything but like a liquid or something to infiltrate mineralized substances into a form. To give an example of how fossilization occurs, imagine, if you will, a bacterium lands in a plot of mud and then it rots away, but the mud dries and it leaves like a footprint, you might say. And if we were to then pretend that we are the fossilization mechanism and we poured, I don't know, say plaster of Paris, mixed with water, into there, we'd make a mold of the footprint. Or in the case of bacterium, it would be like small molecules of silica deposited into the mold where the body of the Titanospirillum velox was. Again, the problem is it requires a liquid to fill that void. A liquid with something to create a matrix, or the fossil itself. I don't know what the fossils yet were made of. They could have been made out of anything. They could have been made out of silica, could have been made out of, I don't know, any kind of rock formation stuff can actually be used to fill a mold. But I didn't really see anything except being able to access any kind of papers on this particular find. But here's a scenario for you. Now imagine if 65 million years ago an asteroid struck the planet Earth with it was about 6 kilometers across and struck the Earth with such force that it ejected mass, launched material from the Earth into a long period orbit, and at the same time wiped out the dinosaurs. Well, created the conditions for the extinction of large dinosaurs. Specifically, it blocked out the sun, caused all vegetation to die, all the big dinosaurs died off, leaving a nice hole for all the little, I don't know what you want to call them, those crazy little fur-bearing critters called mammals to evolve from little rat-like things that were living in trees and burrows. So these little rat-like things that were living in trees and burrows ate a bunch of dead dinosaur flesh for a while, but then they had to evolve to fill the niche that the dinosaurs then left. And the only remains that speculation goes that the birds come from dinosaurs. Well, if that's true, that's kind of cool too. And that the dinosaurs themselves, very small dinosaurs, also were left by the remaining larger creatures had once filled. Anyway, so then we have this cyanobacteria and the Titanospirillum velox, which is left in the soil of Jurassic pre-Cambrian. Whenever the heck they got deposited into various sediments in the Yucatan Peninsula, say, and then they're fossilized later to be launched into orbit by the impact of a very large meteorite asteroid. Anyway, given that, it's quite possible that the meteors being studied were launched into Earth's orbit, or launched into a long period orbit around the sun, and eventually later return to Earth, smacking into our atmosphere, and then find them later landing in like 1850 or whenever the heck they might have been landed, and pick them up and say, hey look, alien life. Well, finding a fossilized dinosaur poo that had been launched into space and then recovered is not really proof of extraterrestrial life. And since it's quite possible that these microbes did come from Earth, because basically we have a fossil of a creature that we know existed on Earth, we're kind of left to the conclusion that these meteors quite possibly did come from Earth. As a matter of fact, given the least likely cause would be of extraterrestrial origin. and the most likely cause being terrestrial origin. I have to say that the statement that fossilized microbes are of alien origin is extremely premature. Without a source, a location to say this rock came from planet Epsilon and Tau Ceti constellation, wherever planetoid from some distant star caused this rock to fly in our direction and land on Earth, without a source for this material, we have to conclude that we either don't know where it came from and cannot confirm that it is of alien origin, or must kind of toss the whole paper in the trash and say, well, here, rewrite it and remove the word alien. Since you found fossilized microbes, well, that's kind of cool. But did they actually come from some other planet? There's no way to prove that. We have to get NASA out there with the robots like we're doing, digging in the dirt, swimming in the seas, looking for life on other planets. That's the only way we're going to confirm whether or not there is actually life out there. Finding a rock on Earth that might have come from Earth in the far distant path and just now happens to come back into the Earth or into the Earth's atmosphere and crashing into somebody's house or something ain't proof of extraterrestrial life. Now, if you happen to find a space gun laying there on the ground, or a crashed alien spaceship, or somebody stops by and says, "Hey, I'm from Alpha Centauri. How's it hanging, dude?" Well, that's proof of extraterrestrial life, right? I mean, as long as they're not exactly like us, as long as they don't have our DNA, as long as they don't look exactly like some creature we already know about from the Earth, then we're kind of left with the conclusion that that creature might actually be from some far distant galaxy or far distant star, or even a star nearby. So I got to just basically state it plainly that Richard B. Hoover needs to kind of concentrate his efforts in the engineering department. That is the department dealing with searching for extraterrestrial life on nearby planets such as Mars or Europa, places where we have good idea that there is water, liquid or otherwise, or may have been water, liquid or otherwise, on the planet or moon's surface, and kind of abandon the whole searching for extraterrestrial life on meteors, because it's too possible, it's too likely that those very meteorites that landed on Earth actually originated from Earth. That is, what goes up must come down, eventually. So, I just wanted to throw that out there, raise a flagpole, see salutes, because yeah, we need to kind of slow down a little bit, take our time before we start tossing everything we believe and everything we know about the universe and everything into the trash. Me personally, I don't see any evidence out there for life yet. All I see is evidence for amino acids or things that might be amino acids in comets. And if life didn't originate on this planet, most likely originated somewhere in the Oort cloud. But we'll never know until we actually get out there and explore. We need to stop searching the Earth for traces of alien life. We ain't gonna find it here. If I can so easily refute his claims, anybody can. Anyway, there you are. Y'all have a good day.